Welcome to Expert in You Showcase, the show where we bring you quick, powerful conversations with elite entrepreneurs and other professional experts to share their best strategies, secrets, and tips to help you have more success in your business and life. I'm Carden, I'm your host, and this show is brought to you by Expert in You, empowering professional entrepreneurs, business owners, and experts to not only stand out and become influential figures in their markets, but add 6 to 7 figures with more ease. Imagine having a game-changing system that attracts and books your calendar with 20 to 40 highly qualified sales conversations and more client attraction opportunities every single week, like clockwork. Increase your influence, impact, and income with strategies that work by booking your business accelerator call with me now at acarden.com, and let's map out your next steps. I have a great guest with me today. Dennis Meador is with me today. And Dennis, welcome to my show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
It's great to have you. He is the founder and CEO of the Legal Podcast Network. And I'm really excited for you to tell everyone what that is exactly and who you serve in your market.
Well, I think people can discern fairly quickly who we serve, being the Legal Podcast Network. Mm-hmm. But we really have a couple of different people we serve. So we serve the attorneys that work with us. We do turnkey podcasting for attorneys. And so they come to us, primarily smaller law firms, 1 to 2 attorneys in the firm, maybe a support staff, might be just one guy or one lady that are in the firm, but smaller firms. And what we do is they come on board, we identify who their ideal client profile is, we identify their jurisdictional profile, we identify their brand profile or who they are really genuinely. And then we use that to craft a show. We put together all the questions because we build it from their client backwards. This isn't a, hey, look at me, I got 5 million downloads play. This is I'm in St. Louis, I'm a criminal defense lawyer, and I've been doing this 15 years, and I don't want to just be called on a list of all the other attorneys, well, how much are your rates? And then they call the next one. When people come to me, I want them to hope that they can work with me. And so the way we do that is through authoritative positioning. We use very simple QA sessions. Now, we do allow for other ways, but our kind of standard way of doing things is QA sessions. We provide the host. We send the questions to the host attorney ahead of time. They sit down, and in half-hour sessions, we put together about a 17 to 21-minute podcast. They can have 1 podcast a month, 2 a month, or 4 a month. That is our main core of who we work for, and we use that content to not only put out a podcast and a video, have a YouTube channel, but then we make shorts. So, for every episode we do, we create 10 shorts. We also create audiograms, which are just kind of like snippets of podcasts. And then we also create, some static content. And we are also a social media machine based on purely just them talking. So now they've got authentic social media. They've got outlets that are reaching people in a modern way, i.e. through podcasting, through video, through long-form video, long-form podcasting, short-form video. And we use this to create authoritative positioning. So if I'm in St. Louis or the market of this attorney, and let's say that I just got my 4th DUI. Now, there's 2 ways I could do this. I could just type in DUI attorney St. Louis. The problem with that is the people who do that tend to be shoppers as opposed to looking for an attorney that will help them. So most attorneys very frustrated because they'll just get phone calls. As soon as they pick up the phone, I got my 4th DUI, how much does it cost? And it's like, well, first of all, there's a lot of extenuating answers here. But second of all, no one wants to start a business relationship with, how much is it?
Exactly.
This isn't McDonald's with 99 cents on the door to let you know the prices when you walk in.
Right.
So what we're looking for is people search 2 ways. They search direct, and then they search what we call question-based search. It tends to be a more educated, a person who cares more about the results. And so they'll type in something like, I just got my 4th DUI, will I lose my license? Now, let's say, and now not a lot of attorneys will put out this type of content. Most attorney content is generic. I've been doing this 25 years. Call me.
Right. It's all about
college. In college, I won a mock trial, so you should hire me. Well, no, people don't really care about that. So they see this little clip of video. 80% of people are more likely to watch a video than they are to read an article. So they watch this little 3-minute clip. The attorney answers the exact question. Now they're like, oh, wow, they know what they're talking about. Then they go to their website and then they see more videos. And they see more questions and answers. And they read through more and they realize, oh, okay, man, I wish I would have had him for my third DUI. Okay. And then they call. And now typically what's happened is they've gone through the no and the like. It's just confirming trust. So they call, and the question more often than not is, how do I work with you? And that's a vastly different question than how much is it? Yes. Although on paper, we would say they're the same thing. And so what we're trying to do is establish our clients as thought leaders, which would be to their fellow attorneys. But more importantly, we're trying to help them with authoritative positioning so that when people come to them, they're coming to them with the proper positioning, which allows them to pick and choose for the right kind of clients. And we also do that on the front end with the types of questions we ask. For example, we don't ask, what is the cheapest divorce lawyer in St. Louis? It would be, what happens to a second home during a divorce? Well, again, two totally different people, two totally different mind frames. Both need the same thing, but most of our clients would want that second person who, there's assets in the divorce. Right. And so we help our attorneys with that. Then we take and we create reels. We do for every show that we do. So if we do one show a month, let's put it this way. It's our base package. They're going to have a post on all their outlets, whether that's just Facebook and Instagram. Maybe we have 10 outlets they can do. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google My Business, Threads, Twitter. I've got them all right here. Threads, Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok, LinkedIn. So there's 10 main outlets. And so they can have every day, Monday through Friday, a post on all of those outlets. And we load them in, take care of it for them. So that's 20 posts a month, one full show a month. And then we transcribe and edit their content from their show into about a 2 to 3 page FAQ for their website. So with 30 minutes of their time, we have now created a month's worth of content and a full evergreen show that's a YouTube show, that's a regular podcast. Twice a month, 4 times a month. So it could be half hour a month on average, an hour a month on average, 2 hours a month on average, and we can kind of break that up different. It's a 4-month agreement. So that's our primary client is lawyers. But we've also found that there are a number of people that serve lawyers. They're consultants, maybe they're financial consultants, they are AI consultants, they are jury selection consultants, and they don't know how to market to them. Well, we've been doing this a long time. I've been working with attorneys for 20-something years. We've got a database of about 200,000 lawyers that we market to in different ways and different processes at different times. And so we say to them, hey, not only will we build this show out, but we'll put you as a part of our infrastructure. And now we're creating a whole different infrastructure of information for the attorneys to become like a learning center from experts and consultants in their industry, to where attorneys can now come to our site, click on podcasts for attorneys, and then watch like different things from different people that can help them in different areas. So those people, the jury selection people, all of that, those people have now become our clients. And this is something that when I built this business model, didn't plan on it.
It just organically happened. Yes.
It organically happened. And so that was a very pleasant surprise. And so right now we're building deep. Attorneys are my specialty. I've spent over 20 years for the most part selling to them, sales process development, product development, and done very well with it. That's our primary target, but we're building out all of our systems, our delivery mechanisms, our internal mechanisms, our communication mechanisms, getting rid of all the friction. And then once we do that, we're going to expand to become the professional podcast network, where we can really work with anybody who, I say it this way, if your main selling point is what happens between your ears, then you can be my client, because I can now help you establish authority, build an audience, and bring them in as clients over time. Know, like, trust. So those are kind of the main areas of who we work with and who we help.
So how did you get into what? First of all, you're singing the same song that I sing all the time. You have to have authority in the market. You have to be seen. When people search you, you have to come up. I had somebody the other day book a call And I always ask, how'd you hear about me? And she said Chat GPT. And I thought, wow, now that was the first for me. I hadn't had that
Hmm.
before. So we're seeing some of those things as well. But if you're not doing this type of marketing, I call it really, building your influence in the market to get people past the price shopping, get them into the know, like, and trust, you're really missing opportunity. And it is a fast race to the bottom if you're only getting the
Yeah,
price shoppers.
exactly. Like, here's the thing. I've worked with attorneys 20 years. And in
Mm-hmm.
just the last 10, 15 years, here's what I've noticed. Attorneys that will tell me, I'll say, what's your hourly rate? And, I've worked with them long enough. I can usually say, like, and sometimes I know they're not getting, but they probably used to get it. So let's say I have an attorney and they've been serving 20 years. They are a family lawyer. They focus on, let's just say, middle income divorce. And I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, what's your hourly? About 450, 500? And they'll say, I wish it was about 10 years ago, but now it's down to
Wow.
325. And I'll be
Wow.
like, what happened? And I already know what happened. And what's happened is there's been a huge commoditization of their industry specifically. The legal industry is the number one sought after industry to market from B2B because,
Mm-hmm.
you can go after it. But Google won't even talk to a lawyer who calls them that wants to buy pay per click if they're not spending 10 grand a month minimum.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, oh, you can go with somebody else. We don't have time
Right.
to help you if you're not spending $10,000 a month. Well, when you're talking to law practices that did 250 grand last year, the attorney
Mm-hmm.
took home 200 or 150. He gave 5 or 50 to his support staff, and then he paid 50 in expenses and
Mm-hmm.
taxes and whatever. Like $120,000, like a 50% of your net or of your gross income is not an option to market with.
Right.
And so what I tell these people is like, listen, you've got two choices now. You can either outspend your competition, which they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Drive through any major marketplace, and 90% of the billboards are now attorneys, more often than
Yes.
not, personal injury attorneys. So you
And
can out
television commercials, which isn't
exactly,
inexpensive
exactly.
either. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they're dominating. And then here you have, and that's 1% of the attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
And 1% of the attorneys are getting 40, 50% of the cases. So then these other attorneys are like, man, like, first of all, Mr. Morgan or Mr. whoever it is that's the big dog, they're never even going to see that guy in a million years. They're going to get some
Right.
junior attorney that's tried
Right.
3 cases that blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, but I don't know how to communicate that with people unless they're sitting across the table from me. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, listen, that's exactly what we're going to communicate. The
Yeah.
dangers of working with an attorney that has less than 5 years experience or, questions to ask when you sit down with a big law firm. Like
Mm-hmm.
these are the types of things that we're going to have shows about and create content about because
Right.
there's been a huge commoditization of their industry where people just type in DUI lawyer. There's, 15, 20 on the first page, but half of those are where you click on find law and you got another 200. There's literally
Mm-hmm.
in your mind, there's hundreds of people that can help me. But when you ask that specific question and you have that specific issue and you feel like that attorney specifically focuses on your problem, now that just all everybody else just kind of fades away from view.
Yes. I always say you put yourself in a category of one. If you are
Exactly.
not putting yourself in a category of one. So do you help them specialize too, Dennis? Or is that something they
Typically,
already come to you with?
typically they know. One way that we do kind of help to specialize in is, they'll say, well, I'm divorced. And we'll say, okay, what types of clients are you looking to cultivate more of? I don't know. I just want more business. Okay. Let me ask you
Good,
this. If I
good
could bring you
luck.
10 clients and you could describe them to me, their
Mm-hmm.
income, their part of town they live in,
Mm-hmm.
their demographics, male, female, whatever, how would you describe them to me? Oh, well, or what are the types of cases that you enjoy the most? Oh, well, and then we're like, okay, why don't we target that person?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, yeah, we could do that. And then we build their content plan around that. So I would
Yeah.
say they have a general idea. We don't really work with a lot of like general practitioners just because
Mm-hmm.
their markets aren't going to have enough competition. If you've got general practitioners in your market, it's probably because there's 3 attorneys in a 3 county area and you're in Nowheresville, Indiana or
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas or whatever. We target the top 250 metros because we know there's at
Mm-hmm.
least 250,000 people there. and there's other people trying to get into that market from, outside of it. So we want to separate them from their competition.
Okay, I want to just stop you right there. And I want to really point out what you just said to my listeners about your targeting for your business and how that was gold. What you just dropped about how you target 250, you said metro areas. And that's gold because if you want to get the best clients, if you want to get more business, if you want to specialize, you have to get better clients. You have to get really dialed in on where those people are. And otherwise, you're playing the pricing game in your own business and you're getting the wrong people coming to you in your own business. And you're choosing them because it's so saturated. There's so much competition that they have a desire and a want for what it is you can help them do. So it sounds like you're really helping them do things very cost effective. I've been doing business for 40 something years, building a lot of businesses. And I talk about how inexpensive it is to market your business these days, no matter what you're doing. It's literally, I pay so much less now than I ever did building all of my other businesses because one ad would be several $1,000s.
Yeah, I spend per month. I have like 7 marketing systems in place. I spend per month what I used to spend on one marketing system.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And that is the power of social media and the internet and really knowing how to do this, knowing how to build your authority, knowing how to build your thought leadership, your influence. And it's out there 24/7, 365 days a year. And what a lot of people say it's work or, oh, I don't want to do this. And you are doing a lot of that for them, which is great. But even if you weren't, it's still so cost effective for people to do that and really stand out in the marketplace. And to me, Dennis, and I would love to know if you agree with this, to me, they actually are leveling the playing field between themselves and the big guys. Do you agree with that?
As I think I started to say this earlier and I kind of went off it a little bit, but yeah, they can outspend them, which is impossible, or they can outposition them. So let me ask you a question. If I said attorney number 1 is 28 years old, he works at a huge firm, he went to a Ivy League school, he's got all the things that seem like he knows what he's doing, but he just doesn't have as much experience, but he's got the big logo behind him with the big firm. Or attorney number 2 has been in this community for 22 years. They've tried hundreds of cases. They've recovered millions and millions of dollars. They answered all your questions via video, podcast, FAQ, and they have helped people exactly like you in exactly your situation several times. Which one of those would you pick?
Exactly. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
It really is. But most attorneys, what they do is they're like, well, I don't understand that social stuff. And I don't even know anybody who has a Twitter handle, so I don't need to be there. And it's like, well, hold up. It isn't about where you are and what you do. It's about where your clients are and what your clients do. I'm very outlet agnostic. So like, if a client says, I want Twitter, I want Blue Sky, I want Threads, I want Pinterest, I want a Twitch channel, I'm like, let's do it. Because, I tell my team, guys, what if we only can get our clients 1 client per month per channel? How can we improve that? And then they're like, well, we could get better at it. Maybe we could get it to 2. And I'm like, but we've tried. We've honed in, and we just realized we can only get them 1 client per channel. And then they're like, why not add another channel that we can get them a client on, and then another channel that we can get them a client on, and then another channel that we can get a client on? I'm a big believer in this concept that I use called digital languages, which means that, like I'm sure you have friends, right? Where you're just like, if you text them, you don't ever hear from them. But if you go into your Facebook and you inbox them, within a half a second, they're like, oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
You're like, I've been texting you for a week, And it's kind of like, that's everybody now,
right?
And so what attorneys do is it's like, well, I'm on LinkedIn. I want to be on LinkedIn. And I'm like, but you're a criminal attorney. Like, sure, maybe you'll get a white collar case out of this.
Maybe there's somebody that's a criminal there, but
that's not your, like, go to Twitter, go to Facebook, go to Instagram, go to whatever. be everywhere because you can tie all your marketing in together. Be everywhere so that if you can only get one per outlet, then why not have 10 outlets?
Right.
Because now you got 10 clients per month.
Yes.
And that's just in the outlets. These are just the bonus things. That's not the cumulative effect of evergreen marketing.
Right.
That, you know, in 3 years, somebody might type into Google and YouTube says, watch this video from your local attorney who addresses that exact issue. Because that's what Google's trying to do. It's trying to answer the exact question as close to you as possible. I use this phrase, custom content on a continual basis that keeps people on the page will always kill it in the algorithms. And so most attorneys just look for, it's almost like their entryway. Well, I put a desk, I put a table, I put a lamp, I put a nice picture on the wall. What more do you want? That's not how social media works.
Right.
That's not how websites work. They need to be dynamic. They need to be adding. They need to be adding value continuously. It's like if you had somebody that came and mowed your lawn once and then just went to your door and collected $20, would you keep paying them $20 every week? And your lawn just sat there and then it started getting longer and then there started being dandelions? No, you wouldn't. You would expect it some upkeep. But yet you think with social media or your website or any digital presence that you have that you can just put an old chair there that's comfortable, put a big desk there, put a pretty picture of some dogs playing poker on the wall, and you're good to go. And it's like, it's just not like that.
It isn't. And here's the thing that people need to understand, especially if you're in a professional space for sure, but it really in business at all, is this is really non-negotiable anymore. Again, we are in a fiercely competitive world. It does not matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter what niche you're in. It doesn't matter what market you're in. You are going to have, I can remember way back when I had 25 competitors in my local market. And now that's probably 50 or 100 if I had that same business. And people don't really realize this. Like it's he who markets the best wins. I think that was a Dan Kennedy quote. He who stands out and gets the attention, gets the gold, gets the currency. It is just the way it is. You can like it or not like it, but it's really non-negotiable if you want to really have a thriving business and keep that business going. We could talk about this for so long and talk about it all day long because we both have the same beliefs and the same ideas around this. Hi, friend. I have an exciting announcement. I hope you're enjoying this episode of Expert in You podcast, but I have to ask you, have you checked out the latest issue of Expert in You magazine yet? It's jam-packed with rich content, powerful strategies, inspiring stories, and so much more to help you elevate your business and personal growth. Don't miss out. Go grab your digital copy now and join our community of experts making a difference every day. Go to expertinyoumagazine.com and check out your digital copy today. Transform your expertise into success with Expert in You magazine. It's not just a publication, it is a movement. How did you get into working specifically with attorneys, Dennis?
So it started about 20 years ago. So I've been in marketing since I was about 18 or 19. I went to, I don't have a degree in it. I just kind of fell into it. And I remember the moment that I decided I wanted to be in marketing. I was driving down the road and there was a friend of mine sitting next to me. And I saw this big McDonald's billboard. And I remember thinking in my head, knowing this person next to me, I guarantee you within 2 to 3 minutes, this person's going to say, I want McDonald's. And we drive by and we go down the road a little ways and they were like, McDonald's sounds good. Not even realizing what had happened.
It's subliminal, yes.
Yeah. And I was just like, I want to be in marketing. So then I was working at a telemarketing company while I was in college. And the guys who were making the most money were selling ads in magazines. So then I switched over and went into that division, did very well. Then I took a job in marketing. I was working with hospitals for their patient handbooks and the advertising in them, and kind of grew. And then I created my first company. And then after that company, I was able to semi-retire, lived in Europe off and on for a while in my 20s. And then after me and that partner were no longer working together, somebody recruited me to sell into the legal industry. And I was selling ads at like $300 to $500 a person. One-off ads, maybe we get them twice a year. And I call this attorney and they're like, these are $5,000 a month. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, $5,000 a month. I'm like, cool. So I call them up and I'm like, this is how it works. It's $5,000. And they're like, okay. And I was like, man, I've been fighting for $20 and then $300
Right,
and then,
right.
and now all of a sudden there's a group of people that are just like 5K. Sure. No
Yeah.
problem. So
Pick a
then
better market.
exactly.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So then but the other thing I've always said that I like about attorneys is I'm kind of a natural born salesperson. But I grew up with a distaste for sales because my understanding was that being in sales means you have to be really good at lying and kind of slimy. And so I was like, and like my philosophy, and I teach my team this, I'm like, listen, good salespeople might lie, but the best ones don't have to. And if you don't want to be the best, don't be on my team. And that's how I've always looked at it. Like if I can take the truth, 100% truth, and get you bought in, the good, bad, and ugly, that's a lot more skill than being like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we could do that. Oh, yeah, no problem. Oh, yeah. Oh, I could certainly throw in a free car with it. Yeah, no problem. Oh, yeah, we can send you to Tahiti. No problem. And then, you sign the contract and you're like, can I have my Tahiti trip and car now? And they're like, well, you see that little thing at the bottom, whatever they say, if it's not on this paper, it doesn't count. And so like, that was my impression of like salespeople as a general. But working with attorneys, what I liked is I didn't have to use sales tactics. I just had honest conversations and I used logic. And I'd say, well, have you considered this? And they'd be like, well, not really, huh? And so like, instead of being like, so let me ask you, if you were to buy this and I got you 10 clients every month, how great would your life be? That sort of like manipulation tactic, playing on their emotions. Like I never liked any of that. Attorneys, it's like, hey, we're doing this program. How does it work? Like this. Nah, I don't think so. Why? Because of this. Oh, yeah. Well, don't worry about that because, we take care of your time. We take care of this. Okay. Well, also this. Okay. Well, let's look at that and think about this. And yeah, there is part of it that, blah, blah, blah. But if you weigh that out and fully contextualize it, now you're looking at this. And then they're like, you know what? That makes sense. Yeah, let's do it. That's why I like working with attorneys.
So you've not found them to be a hard sell. You have actually found them to be pretty easy. Well, and here's the other piece.
They're hard people. They're hard people. But if you know what you're doing, they're not a hard sell.
Yeah. Because they need the help and they know they need the help.
Exactly.
And this isn't their wheelhouse and it's not their main thing, but they know that they have to bring in business.
Strong people. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say strong people. And at least this is the way I feel because I feel like I'm a pretty strong personality, right? Strong people have a hard time relinquishing or delegating to weak people. We want people that stand up to us, that give their real opinion, that aren't yes men. Yes. And like most salespeople are just, oh yeah. Whereas if you're like, if I can tell an attorney no within the first 5 minutes of the conversation, chances are they're going to be my client. Because they're like, did you just say no? I said, yes. I said, no, we can't do that. Why not? Here's why, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, tell me more. So I like attorneys. Like, they don't always like me, but I generally, as a whole.
What's not to like, Dennis? Seriously.
I mean, everybody's sweet in 30 minutes, right? So, and I mean, I say that facetiously, but, the reality is that, for me, they're a great group of people to work with. And even as we expand and we look into the more professional, I just want to work with people that I'm not going to have to chase them down to get them to pay me. If I deliver what I say, I can, there's some substance behind who they are and I can see them. And I've had the privilege, and I'm sure you have as well in what you do, of like having an attorney that's like 3-4 years into it. And then he's like, it's just him and he's just doing everything. And like, I end up being more of a consultant than just a marketing. Cause I'll be like, so you're like, if you're fine with 250 by yourself, you can do that. But your next thing is delegation. If you don't learn to delegate, you're never going to make a penny more. They're like, I'll be like, so who are you going to delegate what to? You're going to bring in a paralegal, an administrative assistant. And they're like, yeah, let's bring in administrative. And I've seen them literally go from one guy to like 3 partners, like 10, 12, 15 people, where they're doing like 250 to doing like 8, 10, 12, $15 million a year. And I'm not saying I was the sole reason that they did that. Like they are 90 whatever percent part of it. But if I can be a 1% part that made them think a little different, that brought them new
Mm-hmm.
opportunities that they wouldn't have had, to me, that's a win.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. This is great. This is great stuff. Do you have a lot of competitors out there going after attorneys
Honestly,
doing the same thing?
I mean, there's a lot of people marketing to attorneys. I see a few people that are offering turnkey podcasting to lawyers, but most of them charge significantly more than us. They're going for the more medium to large, and then they're
Mm-hmm.
going on site. They're charging five,
Mm,
$10,000 a month. We charge hundreds, not thousands.
mm,
So, but we do everything remote. My whole team is
mm-hmm.
remote. We have 30 something people. I've got people all the way from California to the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've got people in Pakistan. I've got most of my main people are in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
As I told you, I'm in Belize.
Mm-hmm.
So the internet has been the great equalizer in opportunity.
Yeah. So good. Okay, so how do you get your clients, Dennis? I love for people to, when they're listening to the show, to be able to see into other people's businesses. How do you get your clients?
There's a lot of ways. So one, and I would say probably one of our biggest things, we have a opt-in email database.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 days a week, they just get, a 3 to 5 minute read from me. Sometimes it's, hey, being an attorney is tough. Here's why people just don't understand you. Always get great response from those. Thanks, Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
Blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's like, hey, sometimes you attorneys are kind of dumb. And here's why. Maybe not those exact words, but you know what I mean. And then they're like, spot on, or unsubscribe me, you jerk. It just, when
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit more controversial. So that's a big way. They'll fill out an application from that. They'll visit our website from that. And we have a
Mm-hmm.
pixel that lets us. So we're tracking all of that. That's one way. We also have a cold email outreach system that just has like the Bob Jones Law Firm show. And then we're like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, we do this. Would you be interested? Would you like to talk? And surprisingly, every day we get a number of people that are like, yeah, let's talk about this. So just flat out cold email.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, I have like a LinkedIn system that we use that, I connect with people and then they follow me and they follow my content and they follow my videos. So that's another one that we do. We're getting ready to do an omni channel where it's like text combined with email combined with voice drop. We're getting ready to launch a Twitter X campaign because I guess the inbox of Twitter is one of the most underutilized ways to use. So everyone's going into the LinkedIn box, everyone's going into the email box, but Twitter tends to be more personal. So you get a higher response rate. You also get a
Mm-hmm.
higher, what are you doing in my inbox rate? But would you trade 3 I hate yous for 15 let's talks? Or would
Sure.
you rather play it safe and get 1 I hate you every couple days for 1 let's talk every day?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
So
so
good.
there's a lot of things that we're doing, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
always looking for more. We're getting ready to, I talked to my guys about launching what we're calling conversion podcasts, where
Mm-hmm.
every day, so instead of when we cold call now, with our cold calling guy that's taking that over, instead of calling saying, hey, would you like to do a demo? He's going to call and say, hey, I'm a short coordinator with the legacy, the lawyers who build a legacy podcast. And Ben Bono has a opening next week, and we wanted to see if you'd be interested to be on the show. It's a bio about you, 15 to 20 minutes. We distribute it through the Legal Podcast Network.
Mm-hmm.
And then these people all fit our client profile. So then they do the 20 minutes. We create like a
Mm-hmm.
nice little package for them. We'll tighten it up, send it to them, put it on our network. And then at the end of it, they'll just say, do you have a podcast? Have you thought about it? Would you like to
Mm-hmm.
visit more? And so we're just using, like, I just like I'm channel agnostic. I'm very much like, try this. If it works, great. If it doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
back off of it. We still cold call. We still have people that we have, I think last week we had 800 people that we were able to track visited our website. So our cold caller called them, hey, you're on our site, blah, 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 set a bunch of appointments from that. So that's how we're cultivating clients. We get them in a demo, then we pitch them. It's about a 20-minute demo, very matter of fact. We present it as A, B, or C. You can buy now or within the next day. You'll save money if you take 3 days. We do this thing called the forgetting curve towards the end of our presentation. I've shared this with a few people, and they've felt like. So, are you familiar with the forgetting curve?
No, tell me. I would
So the
love to hear.
forgetting
Well, I'd love to
curve
hear your take on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a study that was done that basically says the further we get away, I mean, some of it's pretty obvious, but the further away we get from information, the less we forget. So if you
Mm-hmm.
see a presentation, then in like a day you remember 80% of it. In 3
Right.
days you remember 50% of it,
Right.
and in a week you remember 10% of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what we tell potential clients, and this is true, our biggest cost has typically been following up. And so instead of calling you in a week, you get busy 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the road. Hey, can we watch that again? We go through the demo, we send you more. Now it's 3, 4 months later, you finally sign up. That's a lot of our time spent
Mm-hmm.
bringing you on as a client. So what we're willing to do in order to defray our costs is if you can make a decision in the next 24 hours, doesn't need to be on this presentation, but within the end of business tomorrow, if you say yes, we have $1,000 setup fee. We will
Mm-hmm.
cut that in half and we'll pay you $500 to make a decision within a day. If the decision's yes, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
In 3 days, you'll save $200. A week onwards, it's back to $995 because we're going to
Mm-hmm.
have to go through and follow up and do everything else. That does
Yeah.
two things. One is 75% of our people set a follow up for the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And then of those, probably a good half of those or more will buy right then. Yep, looked at it.
Right.
It's great because you're forcing them to go look at it when they have all the information in their head. Because what
Mm-hmm.
happens is you present the product. 3 weeks later, you finally get them back on the phone and they're like, yeah, what that was that the podcast thing? Yeah, I think, or let me pull up the notes from it. Oh,
Right.
yeah,
They don't
yeah.
even remember. Exactly.
Yeah. And
Yes.
so we incentivize them to make the most informed decision possible. That's the way that
Yes.
we phrase it.
I
And so
love it.
you can call it a sales tactic, but to me, it's more just like, no, I'm incentivizing you to make a proper decision,
Mm-hmm.
not wait for you to then maybe on a whim 3 weeks down the road
Yeah.
go, how much is it? Sure, let's give it a try.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that type of a tactic because here's the thing. They have a lot to think about. You have a lot, they have a lot to do. You have a lot to do. We're all busy. And so if it can move that needle and you want to help them anyway and they need your help, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm the same way. I do fast action. I call them fast action savings because I don't want to be chasing you down. And honestly, I want to work with people that make fast decisions anyway.
Exactly.
Because, yeah. And so to me, it's kind of a qualifier. If you wouldn't take it now, you probably won't take it a week from now if I
Yeah. How does
incentivize
it
you.
make less sense with less information and cost more? Help me. Like
Exactly.
sometimes I've asked attorneys that they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, help me understand how you think it will make more sense in a week
Mm-hmm.
with less information and it costs you more.
Yeah.
And then there's like, so
Mm-hmm.
anyway,
So
it's,
true.
but yeah, that's how we cultivate clients is,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a mix of old school because I've been doing this for so long.
Right.
But I've gone away from the one call close. I released that pressure. We still have plenty of people out there that it's like buy or die.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, we just run them through the system and then keep nurturing them. And then they'll pop back up in 6, 8 months and act like they've
Mm-hmm.
never seen it before, especially if they go to a different person and they're like, oh, I could say 500. Sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
Even though and I'm okay with that because they've
Mm-hmm.
taken some impetus and come back through the system.
Mm-hmm. It's so great. So what are your big goals for 2025?
We're going to hit 250 clients. May
Nice.
1st will be 1 year. We're at about 100.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think by the end of the year, especially with scale of economy, last year I was the only person selling while
Mm-hmm.
running the business, while building the business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, within less than a year, I've got 2 full-time salespeople. I've got a support salesperson, and then we've got all the rest of the team. So now I just do the podcast. I guest. We're getting ready to launch my podcast, Building
Mm-hmm.
Authority Through Media. Bam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just podcasting. I'm just looking at the business. I'm just looking at the structures. I'm just making things better. And I'm just constantly able to do that, training my leaders. Because for me, I don't build a business for me to run. I build a business for it to
Right.
exist without me. And so my
Exactly.
goal is within 3 years max, I
Mm-hmm.
can move from either to Europe or Southeast Asia. I meet with my team once a week for about 2, 3 hours, look at all my reports for a couple of hours, and then I live my life because
Yeah.
how we make our money is just that. It's not who we are, and it shouldn't
Yeah.
be the only thing that we enjoy. Now, maybe in seasons, like right now, this is my business season. I've been
Mm-hmm.
focused. 99% of my time is spent either doing business or thinking about it and how to get it better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So good. You dropped a lot of gold in this, Dennis. I can't thank you enough for being my guest on here. And you and I just align so much with what our belief system is around media, around marketing, around how people should be doing things in the marketplace today. You cannot build your business in a vacuum anymore. It's
No.
just not going to
I tell
happen.
people gone are the days of paid media. We now live in the
Yeah.
days of earned media. Even if
Yes.
you bump it, if it doesn't earn the eyeball, it's still going to get lost in the shuffle. So
So true.
that's why people like us, it's not just like, oh, take your phone and blah blah blah. We've gone past
Hmm.
that age. The content creators are taking 2, 3 camera shots and they have an assistant full time. And these are the
Hmm.
kids that are 16 years old. And then you,
Right.
as an attorney who's supposed to take my $1 million case, is going to jump on with a selfie video, with whatever going on in the background is like, hey, let me help
Mm.
you, blah, blah, blah. No, you've at least got to match or exceed the production value of a perceived lower rung in society. So I think that's where a
Yes.
company like ours comes in.
Yes. I totally agree with you. And here's the thing. People should be excited about this in the marketplace instead of looking at it like, oh, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time. And you talked about it being earned business. And people want the easy days, right? They want I can run a paid ad and everyone's going to come. I can push a button and everyone's going to come. And
It,
people
it,
want that,
it
but
used to be I could just
mm-hmm,
put a full page ad in the yellow pages and I
mm-hmm,
knew I was going to get 7 good cases a month.
right.
Well, sir,
Well,
that's 30 years ago.
that's right. Things
I,
evolve
you
and things
know, it
change.
it it used to be you could club a woman over the head and take her in your cave and she's your wife, but times change.
Oh my goodness. That's a good one. It's not a good one. It's not good, but it is funny. Oh gosh, that's great. Okay, this has been so much fun. We're going to put all your information in the show notes. So thank you again for being my guest. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate everything you shared. We went way longer than we were supposed to go here because it was so
Oh,
good, which is fine. It's fine. It just was gold, total gold. So, all right, we are going to wrap this up then, Dennis. Thanks again. And thanks everyone for tuning into Expert in You Showcase. And on that note, thank you, everyone. Go rock your business and make sure you subscribe to the show, share it. Sharing is caring. And God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye bye.
If you are ready to attract high paying clients like clockwork, build powerful influence and scale your business with ease, let's talk. Book a complimentary $1 Million Accelerator Strategy call at acarden.com to discover how the Expert in You method can help you create a steady stream of premium clients and consistent revenue growth. Don't wait. Your next big breakthrough starts with a simple conversation. Visit acarden.com and let's make it happen. Have an amazing day and God bless you.